So, today saw the release of another episode of Dragon Ball Super, episode, I think, 56. And it detailed Goku, Vegeta, and Future Trunks going back into the latter's timeline and confronting Black. And it was arguably, and I say this as someone who has been seeing in full, this arc and just kind of skimmed through the earlier stuff. I think it's probably the best episode of the entire series by far. And part of my reason for saying that is because in my view it echoes everything I want in Dragon Ball, whether it's the original series Z, GT, it's got everything I want. It's got character interactions I really like, the whole Trunks and Mai stuff with their reunion of sorts. The you know, the stuff where Black, is kind of taunting and trying to mess with everybody's head, and yeah, mortals like you could never understand this power. And then there's a fight with between Black and Vegeta, and then the one with Black and Goku, and they're not overly long, and I feel as if it moved at a pace that wasn't drawn out, which I couldn't say the same for with some of the earlier episodes. Now, that being said, this leaves me with a couple of questions, which I guess is always a good thing as an ongoing arc. It's not over yet. Zamasu appears all the way at the end of this, and I'm left wondering if that's the Zamasu that we've seen over the last few episodes, or if that's the one from the alternate timeline, because we know he probably exists there too. I mean, there's no reason for him not to exist, so it's it's up in air right now, and I'm not going to make any conclusions just yet. I personally am leaning toward it being the same one as the one from the future, not future, from the present timeline, because we really don't know anything about the future timeline one except, you know, I mean, it just wouldn't, I don't know, I just feel as if it wouldn't make sense to use the future one, other than to just say, this is what he's going to become. We have to stop him now, prevent that from happening. And, even if that was the case, and this is kind of where my issue comes from, I still think that if Black emerged in the present timeline, you know, was created in the present timeline, I really can't see him being as successful as he's been in Trunks' timeline, because again, that's the only person of any relevance when it comes to power is Trunks. Everybody else is just weak compared to any superpowered threat. So I really don't see why why they would even be worried about that. But I definitely get their intent. They're wanting to help him and improve his timeline. I definitely can understand that. I'm just saying I don't see the threat to the present timeline. Like, the stakes really don't seem high to me. I feel like if they just left Black in that timeline and imported all the people from that timeline into the present timeline, he wouldn't care. Like, well, he destroyed that universe, or that timeline rather, and it wouldn't matter either way because again, it's an alternate timeline. So we're not going to get to that, or if we get the same people, it won't be the same events. Now, with that being said, the Super Saiyan Rose form made its debut, and I thought it looked good. I was impressed by just what we saw of it, very briefly with those two fights. I liked it. I felt as if it continues the tradition of having the main villain or the major villain, have a form and gain some enormous amount of power with it. And I like how he kind of reminds me, just Black in general, of Super 17 from GT, where you punch him, the more damage you do to him, the more stronger he becomes. I like that because it deviates from, you want to beat him, you've got to be the strongest you can possibly be. There's no way around it. That's why half of the characters in this series are relevant now, and probably will always be, unless Toriyama throws power levels out of the window. And I kind of have more of an annoyance now with that the relevancy issue, because when he was writing Z, he said himself he figured it would be ending soon. So it made more sense in my view for foes to get to the point where only Goku or somebody else can handle them, because it felt as if it was coming to a climax. Now that it's, continuing on, I feel like he could reverse that whole thing of, if you weren't born the Saiyan, man, it's gonna be a tough existence, or some generic random alien race that we've never heard of before. So that's my, I'm not trying to get too off topic, but I feel as if this is an opportunity for a human to play a major role in a saga, other than Krillin, of course, with Future Mai. I just hope they don't use her as the love interest and that's it. They're kind of, doing other things with her a little bit from the screen time she got during this episode. But I really hope they go in the direction where she stands out more as a character. Maybe we learn what happened to Shu and Pilaf, which maybe they said it. I didn't, I saw the version I saw wasn't subbed, so maybe they did touch on it. I just want to see a little bit more of her backstory and how it differs from the present version, who's, is madly in love with Trunks' future incarnation. Uh, so yeah, the ending was great. The fight was great. The beginning was great. I really liked this episode. It's very rarely that I wait 2 weeks for something or longer than I feel I'm supposed to. Because every time we take a break, I'm like, really, really. But this time felt even worse because it wasn't, I guess, scheduled. They say the Olympics messed it up and would have got it earlier. I just hope we don't take any more hiatuses. I just want to see this conclude, man. Or not even conclude, but just get further into the story. I feel as if we get 30 minutes of content, you gotta wait hundreds of hours for more. I don't know. It's just, I really hope we, get something else from it. And I think there's a chance. So that's just my hope. And, I'm disappointed with Vegeta, being relegated to the guy to get beat up to show how strong the villain is. And then, that's that. I hope that changes soon, or at least have, I want him or these future Trunks to beat Black, but it feels unlikely, and that sucks. But even if it's Goku, I still think the arc has been really good, especially if you compare it to stuff before. That stuff doesn't even hold a candle, except for the tournament. But those retellings, they make this look so much better just in hindsight. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.